Oi Brasil, olha eu aqui de novo com mais uma entrevista maravilhosa pra vocês. Dessa vez, ó, o meu fundo aqui já diz tudo. Não é aquele fundo que você tá pensando, é esse aqui mesmo. Bom, vamos falar sobre The Boys, essa série maravilhosa do Amazon Prime Video, que conta a história dos super-heróis que também são um pouco anti-heróis. Como é a vida dos super-heróis quando eles não estão dentro das câmeras, quando eles estão vivendo a vida deles, quando eles são celebridades, super-heróis amados, mas será que eles são bonzinhos mesmo? A gente vai descobrir isso assistindo The Boys e conversando com o elenco que esteve em São Paulo para falar sobre o grande final da terceira temporada. E eu tentei, obviamente, descobrir o que vem aí na quarta. Então roda aí meu papo com The Boys e o Seven.
What's this?
Makes you a soup for 24 hours. You're gonna need it.
The whole point of what we do is that no one should have that kind of power.
For once, I'll level the fucking playing field.
I show people the real me.
So guys, first of all, congratulations on this show.
Thank you.
Thank
you so much.
love it. Karen, I'm glad that you got your luggage. You're looking fabulous.
Oh my goodness! Everyone knows about my luggage missing.
Yeah, but now
it's here.
you're serving, honey.
It's here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Kind words from you.
Thank you so much. So, Carl,
Yeah.
in this season we have the Butcher getting the V24. So he's like paired to the Homelander. So how do you think this the V24 changed his mind, and how this new power comes from frustration or comes from the V24?
Well, I think, Butcher was fully aware of, the area that he was walking into morally. But at the same time, he's like, you know what? This is almost as good as a different textured mushroom. I'll take it. And the challenge was, I guess, I think the most interesting thing in the writing was really examining what's the cost. And once you cross that moral threshold, and all the characters have to make that choice, how far are they willing to go in order to defeat the thing that they despise the most? Are they willing to turn themselves into that thing? And the great thing about this season is that it sort of fractured long-standing relationships and forged new alliances, and gave us an opportunity as actors to explore different territories. I mean, Butcher's relationship with MM this season was very much like dissonant bird sounds. So, and that was fun to play. It was different.
Yeah, I think the Butcher has a lot of layers,
Yeah.
right? And this season's the relationship between Butcher and Hughie, there's a lot of things going on. So how would you describe their relationship in this season specifically?
I really think their relationship is amazing this season. What I really love about shooting every season of The Boys is renegotiating that relationship between Huey and Butcher, because it's forever changing. But I think in this one, it starts out in a really interesting place because Huey is technically Butcher's boss, which really makes him angry. But then, we get to a place where the two are really bonding again. And I really enjoyed those scenes because, they're bonding over taking a drug together, basically. They're just two junkies bonding over, their drug of choice.
They're like, Mama's Parmesan.
Mama's Parmesan.
There's a lot of Parmesan.
There's a lot of Parmesan this season. Almost too much Parmesan. But no, I mean, I like it when Butcher and Huey are friends. I like when they're not bickering as much and they're on the same path together, even though they're essentially bringing a murderer around to kill his old teammates. But yeah, no, I think Huey and Butcher's relationship ends up in a really, really fun place for them this season.
And you're always involved in some gross scenes.
Oh yeah.
Gross scenes, and you have like a vomiting scene in the season. So how is for you getting to so much dirty things? And
well, now that you mentioned the vomit, that was actually kind of nice compared to all the blood that usually gets on me. It was it was actually kind of refreshing, if you can believe that, because fake blood is really sticky and it stays on you forever, and you can't like touch anything or else you'll stick to it. But the fake vomit was like, I don't know, water. It was really easy. But there was one take where It's really gross, but he fake threw up in my mouth, I spit it back out, and then went back into his mouth. It was a very COVID-safe moment. And I don't think that made the cut, and I'm kind of glad.
So this season we saw Kimiko like doing theater. I love theater. You had the musical scene.
Yeah.
How was it for you to do it? And do you think it's gonna be more of Kimiko's musicals?
Oh my goodness, I hope so. It was a dream come true. I mean, I never would have thought that I'd be able to do a musical sequence in anything, and then I got to do it as a mute character on our show. And the entire rehearsal process was truly magical. We got to work with this dance coach named Amy, and Tomer and I were just practicing weekly leading up to the day, and I remember Tomer during one of our rehearsals, he was like 5, 6, 7, 8, lick my ass or call my dad. So, yeah, we had a great time.
You got into it.
Very good.
So, Carl,
Yeah.
in this season, the Butcher decides to hide the truth about Compound V to Huey. So, how do you think this will affect their relationship in the other season, the next season?
Well, that's a good question, actually, because I think that the point that we got to is that Huey actually realized that when Butcher knocked him out, that was Butcher's way of saving his life. So even though it was a shitty way to go about it, he eventually did do the right thing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the fun aspects that I like playing about Butcher, is that 9 times out of 10 he will make the wrong choice, but sometimes, just that one time, and he makes the right choice.
And even when you make the right choice, it's in the shittiest way possible.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go about. Do you see Butcher like a good guy or a villain? Because he's like...
Yeah, I don't necessarily look at it like in such a black and white way. I think that that he definitely does some pretty atrocious things, and sometimes I think that he's a good guy doing bad things, but then there are other times where his behavior simply doesn't even fall into that category. I mean, this season, aligning with Soldier Boy, who has such a horrendous history with one of his best friend, MM, that's some pretty dark. But that really speaks to the nature of Butcher's obsession. He's that focused on revenge, and it's obviously morally the wrong path to be on.
Yeah. What do you like the most about him?
What do I like the most about Butcher? I think actually is those moments where you get to see the fact that he does actually care and love the members on his team. To me, even though he sometimes expresses that in the most shittiest way, to me it's a really redeeming quality. And I also really enjoy playing any time where I get to manipulate people into doing what Butcher wants them to do. That's always fun.
What I like the most about him is that he's hot, right?
But most importantly, he's hot.
So, Karen, we saw Kimiko's fighting with the soup's dildos in Russia.
Yep.
Tell us about the backstage from the scene.
That took a lot of rehearsal time, and funnily enough, it was a lot of technical aspects that went into it. Our props department is amazing, Davin, and he was creating all these different dildos. And it's crazy to say, but during rehearsals one day he came up to us and he said, "Do these work for you? Can you rehearse with these and figure out if they're perfect or not?" Like this. And sure enough, I think the Black Noir Silent Screamer was that is the actual name.
That's amazing.
Name. Yeah, was too
Why
thick.
are you making this face?
It was too big for my hands. And it would fly away while I'm fighting, and so I had to go up to Davin and ask him if he could make it bigger.
Less girth.
Less girth.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had fun.
Yeah. I'm having fun right now, just listening to you. So we finally had the Hero Gasm episode. I was shooting this, and we had a lot of fans that were disappointed, and some that were really liking it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Someone was expecting a huge heroes orgy. So
There's a few websites you can go on where you can see that.
Yeah, what was it?
My favorite,
X-Hamster?
X-Hamster, definitely.
oh, okay. How was shooting it?
I wasn't there.
I'll actually say this: those actors, all the background actors, were the people actually performing nude sex acts, whatever you want to call it. They were some of the most professional actors I've ever worked with. They were also comfortable in their own skin. We don't want anyone feeling uncomfortable, even though it's like an orgy scene. So I have to, hats off to all of those actors. They were really professional, really cool. Made me feel a lot more comfortable being nude in that setting. So yeah, hats off. And I think the reason why I love that episode is not just because of all the crazy sex stuff. It's the fact that that episode is actually where you get a lot of emotional scenes, a lot of climactic scenes. I mean, like the Butcher, Soldier, Homelander, a little bit of me fight. To me is like, especially with Butcher and Homelander, I mean, I feel like audiences have been waiting for you guys to actually come to blows for a while. So we got that, we got Huey confronting A-Train, we have a lot of stuff in that episode. That's my personal favorite episode we've ever done.
Thank you guys
Thank
so
you.
much for your time.
Thank
This
you.
is amazing.
Hope you enjoy Brazil and Brazilian fans. We all love you, and we're actually really expecting season 4.
Yeah, thank you. We'll be back. We'll be back.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
All right, great to meet you.
Really, nice to meet you too, guys. I'd like to know how you like Brazil so far.
We love it. Amazing.
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 Yeah, Brazil is, for a start, Brazil is our second biggest audience in the world, but I don't think there's any fans that are as passionate as the Brazilian fans. They're really, it's a very special
Crowd.
country and a bunch of people. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Eric, I want to know how hard was to make a show based on the comics. Is it hard? Is it easier?
I walked into it thinking it would be easier, because I'm like, oh great, I don't have to think of it all myself. It's so much fucking harder. It's so much harder because you really I only adapt it because I love it. I love the comic. And so I run the very real risk of being the person who loves the thing, who ruins the thing I love for the world. And so figuring out how to pull the Jenga blocks, without the whole thing falling over, because you can't adapt it one-to-one. You have to sort of curate it and remix it. But at any point, you run the risk of completely destroying it, So in Herogasm, it's how far do you go? Do you say "Viva la cum cum" or "Fee fi fo cum"? It's who even knows?
I just got to chip in here on that note, just because as that was approaching that episode, and of course we have writers on set. We always have a writer. Some of the conversations that I've heard our writers having, like I heard one of them saying, "Oh no, Annie should come in and say what the fuck? No, who the fuck?" And it's just I'm sitting there, I'm going, "What's wrong with you people?"
My favorite was "I'm a little num who needs a whack on my bum." And then we were pitching that.
And the strangest thing is in what context does that make sense? This context.
Yeah, only on our show.
So my next question was about it. Is there in the writing room that you guys go and say, "Oh no, that's too much"? That from the conversation, I think
we tend not, we do talk about what might be too far or what's too much. In general, if it's based on the characters, we'll spend 75% of any story break talking about the character psychology. Who are they? Where they're going? What's the arc? How does it tie into the theme? And then if the madness generally, is an outcropping of the character stuff, we're usually on safe ground. Because it's not just being exploitive just to be exploitive. It's usually telling us something about the character. And so because of that, I think we're able to, it stays grounded, where it feels like the show always has weight. It never feels like it's exploited pornography, you know. And I think the reason it does is because it's always locked into what the characters are doing.
Okay, Anthony.
My lord.
Homelander is a character of so much layers on him, and now he never had a family, and now in this season he knows his biological father. How do you think it's gonna change the character's personality for next season?
Well, it's interesting because right from day one, he's always wanted that, you know, one of the fundamental drives of the character, as much as he hates it, is love and connection and family. I mean, when I signed on to play the role, I'm a huge fan of bad guys. My favorite bad guy is actually in the movie No Country for Old Mike.
It's Old Men.
Oh no, right. No. Sorry, No Country for Old Men.
Okay.
So the character Anton, and that has always been something that I've looked at as like, I mean, you can't get worse than that guy. But then what I love about the show is that right off the bat, Eric and I were talking about not having this be just the bad guy, being mustache twirly and too arch, and so all of those layers have come in, and I think, like, you know, there's never going to be a redemption story for Homelander. I don't think. I think he's irretrievably damaged. But what we can do is layer it, put in enough layers, and explain enough, give the reasons why and how, just to conflict people's ideas. And it actually it does. I'm always blown away by, like, on my Twitter feed, people somehow line up with this character. It's very strange to me, but he is ultimately the bad guy.
Nathan, this season we discovered a lot about Black Noir, and how was it for you to know his past? Know about his past?
It was really, like, fulfilling to get to explore that part, you know, because for so long he's been a mystery, you know, and I think we've been discovering him as we've gone along in the seasons, and for me this was just a perfect realization of his inner world, you know, and I think it's really important to show the dimensions of someone like that, because you see this complete black suit, you see this like intimidating armor, and like he's covered in knives, so we get that he's scary, we get that he's menacing, we get that he could rip you apart, but like, what makes him human? You know, what does he care about? What makes him special? Where's his heart? And we get to see his heart, we get to see his vulnerability, and I think that makes him a more full, complete character.
So, Claudia, at the end of the second season, we learn that your character has one of the scariest power in that world. And yeah, you can blow.
You don't get all that. Okay, you don't get all that dessert. I get some.
You know, honey.
I get some sweet stuff too.
I just showed how desperately uncool Don't be fooled.
But in this season, we can get to see like a more vulnerable side of her. So how was it to explore that? And do you think that we're gonna see more about her past and of her power?
I mean, I'm in for sure of her power, I would think. No, it was actually amazing. It was such a gift because, I mean, anything that you get as an actor that gives you just more insight into why they are the way they are, or what their motives are, or how they came to be this person is just a gift as an actor. So it gives you more pieces of the puzzle to work with. You have more of a layered character that you get to explore. So I loved that we learned about her past, and I loved that we saw in her home life and her relationship with Stan Edgar and what that looked like, and it was really nice to see vulnerable moments with her, because we haven't seen that yet. Mm-hmm. We haven't really seen when she comes home and takes off the mask, and you know.
Anthony, in this season we see Homelander very unstable. Not that he was stable before.
So stable before, right?
Yeah, but
he's on real terra firma.
Yeah, what do you think is like the biggest danger that Homelander is all about?
I think the biggest danger he's faced was this season. The first time he's ever felt existential threat, the threat of like something might be able to kill me. That was very carefully constructed, because we have some bizarre conversations. Like when we were doing the fight in episode 6 with me, Karl, and Jensen, who are both very good at stunts. It came together pretty well in terms of the physicality, but the conversations about like, well, no, who's more powerful than who, and who could do this, and who could do what, and you got to get it right, because otherwise it just becomes swinging. It just becomes action. Like we're just vomiting out action that doesn't really mean anything. There's no consequence, and it was really. It was really fun to construct that, and it was really fun to throw in those moments. There's that particular moment when Butcher comes back and lasers Homelander, and for me, that's the beginning of that. It starts before that in previous scenes, but when he lasers him, and that moment of him just going, "Oi, laser," and getting back up, going, "What the fuck?" That's the beginning of that. You know that feeling when something very, very bad has happened, but you can't quite compute what it is yet, and it'll catch up. And then it catches up when he's pinned on the floor.
It's just me before the intervals.
Yeah, right. just to echo that, like, because it was funny, like the negotiation during the fight of like who gets what cool moment and who gets the most amount of time, and you're working and you're working and you're working, and who gets what, and then finally you're like, oh, huzzah, a timeshare. So
You each get a piece.
Yeah.
And you got to work again with Jensen, who he just talked about. How was it to explore his new side of him doing different things?
Oh, it was so great. It was so fun. It was like a family reunion, you know? I mean, because I hadn't really run Supernatural for almost a decade. It had been a minute since we'd really worked closely together, though we kept in touch and were, good friends. So to kind of bring him back, and I knew, I know what he's capable of, and I knew what an effective villain he would be. And I was just really excited to sort of show the world, just a whole other side of him, because he's played one character for 15 years, but he's really so versatile. He's such a skilled actor that I was really looking forward to the opportunity to show everyone he's just a totally different character. And I said to him early in watching some of the cuts of the episodes, I said, the biggest compliment I can pay you is, when we talk about you, we don't talk about Jensen or Dean, we talk about you like, that's Soldier Boy, and Soldier Boy's doing this, and what do we do about Soldier Boy here? And because he just so quickly inhabited an entirely new character.
So Claudia, Victoria is a very smart woman, but she's like pairing up with Homelander. How do you think their relationship's gonna be? Because it's so like unnatural.
Really light.
And yet it's so natural.
It's so natural. It's like I don't know, that's such scary territory. Honestly, that was the one thing by the end of the season when I was reading the scripts, I was like, oh God, I don't want to be teamed up with Homelander. It's so terrifying. Like,
God, scenes with Antony.
No, I mean,
That's what she really is. I gotta put up with the most immature idiot on the show.
She's smart. I just told
The
her.
child of the show I have to be around him all the time.
Dr. Xanax prescription, please.
Number one.
I, on the other hand, have a great future with you.
No, it's you think that any character that's in a room with Homelander, you're like, you just tense up. You're like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
So.
But my favorite you and me scene, just because it starts off so very, very odd, is like, I'm having a bit of a moment
He's
with
having
the
a
cow, having some mama juice, and then you come in, interrupt, and it's this absurd passage, but then it turns on a dime, and it all of a sudden, and she's a gamer, man. Like when you're doing those things, I'm very,
Delicate?
very. I try and be, because
He's
I'm
someone
really
who grabs
scared.
a lot of throats on the show. He's just like, delicate.
Yeah, I'm really fun. No,
It's like you're having spa treatment.
We decided early on that homie quite likes the vulnerable spot, but it is
Yeah.
you gotta be really careful. So
Yeah.
I put my hand there. I'll just put my hand there, and you control the pressure, right?
Yeah.
And you do whatever you do. She's a gamer, man. I'm like watching her eyes start bulging. I'm like, no, because they're gonna think it's me. They're gonna think it's me. But she's.
I'm doing this to you.
You throw yourself in, and it's. I love doing scenes with you.
Me too. As Claudia, I'm super excited. I'm really excited to have scenes together. As Newman,
You're just trying to make up for it now.
Not
come
really sure.
on. Okay.
Eric, to wrap this up, what can you expect from season 4? And are you already shooting it? How is it?
We're not shooting. We'll shoot soon. The writer's room is running at full blast and scripts are starting to come out. And, I think for anyone who sees the finale, there's a lot of clues in that about what season 4 will be, about what's going on with Butcher and the situation that Homelander finds himself in, and the situation Newman finds herself in is a big concern with season 4. I think the finale in many ways is the pilot for the next season.
Gente, eu tô rindo até agora dessas entrevistas. Que elenco maravilhoso. Entregaram tudo. Pra quem sentiu falta do Jensen Ackles, ele teve que pegar um voo direto. Eu também senti falta dele, mas depois a gente dá uma conversada mais particular, mais privada, eu e Jensen. Olha, a terceira temporada de The Boys já está disponível no Amazon Prime Video. E fica de olho, já faz sua assinatura aí, porque de repente vem a 4ª temporada e você nem tá pronto de ver a terceira, tá bom? E não esquece de se inscrever no canal, ativar o sininho se você estiver vendo isso no YouTube. Deixar um comentário, compartilhar. Se você tá vendo no IGTV, deixa um comentário e compartilha também. É isso, The Boys no Brasil. Não deixa de assistir, hein? Gente, olha, eles são bonitos pessoalmente. Será que eles estão por aqui ainda? Eu vou lá ver, porque eu não sou ver. Tchau.
I mean, they fucking love me.
By the heroes and
Fuck!